Now, these beginner shortcuts, they are exactly what the title says. You find them throughout the website, and they tend to be just little quickie text shortcuts. You don't have to watch a video. Well, you're watching one now, but you don't have to watch a full-length class video to learn about something. It'll just kind of get you going. To get the sound of a clean, clear single note in your mind, pick a hole to play a single note on. Typically, we start with hole 4, blow and draw. And what I'm doing is, because I want hole 4 and 4 blow and draw, that's the sound, I take my fingertips and I place them tightly over holes 3 and 5, the holes surrounding 4, obviously. And then I open my mouth wide and put the whole thing in there. And why are you doing that? This is not the way you'll play single notes down the road. You can see that having your fingers there would kind of slow you down a little bit. Not so good for, playing songs and jamming. But what that does is it allows you to very clearly hear what a single note should sound like. You have to make sure that the tips of your fingers are very, very tight, or it will not work properly. Right? Oops, my fingers slipped away. So I got to get them tight. And if for some reason you can't get that to work, another trick is just take some tape. Artist tape, plastic tape, almost any kind of tape, but the Scotch tapes and duct tapes and stuff, they tend to leave residuals, so they're not my favorite first choice, but they'll work. And put it over, let's say we want hole 4. So I'm going to put tape over 5 and 6 and tape over 2 and 3. And now I don't even have to put my fingers on it. When I just play with the tape on it, instantly you can hear the sound. This is also for some of you intermediate advanced players out there who may be also just watching this video. That's a good tip and trick too for trying to learn tongue blocking single notes. So that's more of an intermediate advanced thing. So that's what single notes is. Who knew? Okay, let me entertain you. Well, more than that. Here, okay, next one. Hand effects. Hand effects. This is, I believe, the most important aspect of learning hand effects for harmonica. And that is understanding what hand effects do and sort of the principle, physics, or science behind it. And that is, what we're trying to do is ultimately create a large airtight cup. And again, if you're going, oh, okay, Dave, that's pretty good, but I need some more details. We have a whole class that's been done on this, other classes where we talk about it a little bit. And if you click on the link for hand effects, again, the title of the beginner shortcut, it will take you to the section where you get a lot more information on how to do it. So I'm not going to teach you right here how to do it, but I want you to understand that the main point of getting good hand effects is to create a large airtight cup. The larger and more airtight the cup is, the better it's going to function. Why? Because what we're literally doing is taking the sound and we're trying to trap it within our hands. And what does that do? That kind of diminishes the volume. And in fact, watch. Here's me just speaking. La. I'm not going ah. I'm just doing la, and I'm making an airtight cup with my hands. Kind of silly, but that's the way that works. So we do that with the harmonica. So it's important to understand that you put your hands together in such a fashion, create that large airtight cup, and we're trapping the sound inside the cup. And then when we open our hand, we're letting the sound out or increasing the volume, and that gives us that nice change of sound, which we call hand effects. And it sounds like 4 blow, a little faster, I don't have to try and make that sound with my mouth. All I'm doing is getting the air through, hole 4 blow, getting a nice clean single note. It's a little easier to hear with a good clean single note. And again, if you're don't quite have the single notes yet, you can use the tape trick, right? Put the tape over 5 and 6 and 2 and 3. And now you've got that clean, clear single note. And what you're doing is, again, you're training your ear, your mind, to hear what it should sound like. And that will speed up the learning process immensely. So, once again, 4 blow, 4 draw. How do you use that sound? You use that on long-held notes. And really, it's pretty obvious if you think about it, that any note where you have enough time to apply it to, you can throw it in there. It's a good sound, and it's a classic harmonica sound. Certainly a classic campfire sound, for campfire songs. Okay, so that's the thing to understand. Again, more just go to the hand effects section for the details. Break it down step by step by step how to do it. But important to understand, large, airtight cup. Trap the sound in there, decrease the volume, open your hand and increase the volume. And it's just that simple. And the larger and more airtight the cup is, the better it's going to work for you. All right. We're moving here. Let's keep moving. We got a few more to do. Bending, 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 bending. Ah, that lovely sound that we get that sounds like... And that's bending 4 draw on my C diatonic. Now, here's the beginner shortcut. Here's the tip or trick. And by the way, this will kind of get you started with it, and in theory, your single notes are pretty good. I suppose you can even use the tape on this to make sure they are good. But sometimes if single notes aren't good, if we expand our mouth and we start playing a little bit of 3 or 5 around hole 4 draw, people hear a change and they think they're bending the note. It's not it. That's not it. It's not... All I'm doing is widening my mouth to create somewhat of a chord sound, 2 or more notes, and something changes, but that's not bending. Bending is this. And again, that's bending on 4 draw. Now, bending is complicated. It's difficult. People get frustrated by this. Well, there's lots of this stuff that can be frustrating because unlike drums or keyboards or guitar, you can clearly see what the teacher, instructor, or the performer is doing. With harmonica, it's mostly invisible and inside, so it does make it more difficult, especially for bending. But all we're really trying to do when we bend is change the angle of the airflow. Normally, here's my hole, and there's a reed in there. And normally we want the air to pass parallel to the reed like this. That gives us a nice, clean, in-tune single note. But when you take that hole and you pull the air up at an angle, that's going to make it bend. So before you get into the overcomplication of doing that, all we want to do is... You see what the tip is? You see what the trick is there? Instead of internally, inside my mouth, changing the angle of the airflow, I'm doing it externally, right? I'm doing this, not quite that much, but just to show you the example. It's this, or from the side. Here's where the harmonica should be for a normal single note, and then I tilt it up to make it bend. Here's the one little catch for this you got to be careful of. Changing the angle of the airflow makes the note bend, right? It's changing the angle. It puts a little strain on the reed, makes it vibrate more slowly. Physics says something vibrates more slowly, goes down in pitch. So when we bend, we're going down in pitch. There's that bending sound. And notice I didn't have to tilt to do that. But tilting is a good trick to get this to work. Now, the tip here, just to go back to the tip, I'll read a little bit of it. You're holding the harmonica by the ends and tilting the back of the harmonica up towards your nose. And by the way, you should have the harmonica far enough into your mouth with good clean single notes that it won't pop out. Sometimes people with this particular trick have problems. They tilt it up and they pull it directly out of their mouth. So ideally, again, with the bending, you've already got fairly decent single notes and make it a lot easier to learn bending if you take a step back or wait a couple of weeks before the single notes are good and then try it. So this trick of physically tilting the harmonica up, it creates the same angle again that we get by doing this internally, and that gets a little bit more complicated, and that's why I've got, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 classes just on bending, because it's not as easy as people like me or people that have been doing it for a long time make it sound. So anyway, that's it. It's tilting the harmonica up and trying to make sure when you tilt it that it doesn't pop out of your mouth. Pops out of your mouth, you're not going to get it. And here's one last tip on tilting the harmonica. Make sure, if this is our theory, that when we tilt the harmonica up, it's that angled airflow that puts stress on the reed that makes it vibrate more slowly. It lowers the pitch. Well, make sure when you tilt the harmonica up, you don't follow the direction of the airflow. I've seen a lot of students do this over the years. Just kind of an intuitive thing. Your body goes, something's moving, I better move with it. Well, if your airflow is like this and the harmonica is like this, when we tilt it up, you can't change the airflow to follow it or it won't work. Again, parallel airflow makes it not bend. So anyway, as always, click on the shortcut title link to get more information. Let's move on to our next one.